My name is Amy Copeland, and I am product manager for Rialto. And lovely to see all of you today. The title, I think, in the original deck or on the spreadsheet is a little misleading. I think it was saying a focus on Rapido. And even the title of this presentation is a little misleading as well. Transforming collection, didn't mean to go ahead one. Transforming collection development in Rialto with informed fulfillment. I will definitely be talking more about the holistic vision for Rialto going forward. And this isn't just Rialto for our current customers. This is for everybody that has Alma, the changes that we'll be making at a broader scale under the Rialto umbrella. And I won't be talking about Rapido at all today. So this is really the broad changes that are coming for Rialto. So yeah, the overall shift towards collection development and these new workflows that are going live as part of the November release that are available to everyone. So I'll be doing a live demonstration of these new workflows. We'll take a look at collection development as a whole, and then what's coming related specifically to the collection development aspect of Rialto, starting from now until mid-2026. And then, of course, we'll leave time for Q&A at the very end of this session. So I'm going to start off here with a quote from one of my colleagues, Raphael Gabe, or Rafi Gabe, if you've had the chance to meet him before. He led what was formerly Collecto, which this is, and also the analytics group. And he's so positive. If you've ever had the chance to meet him, he is one of the most positive people. And I would love to get this quote printed on a poster of some sort of cat in distress to hang in my office space. But he says, just imagine the opportunities as Rialto shifts from books to library solutions. And, really, he's not wrong. There are a number of changes for Rialto that came along after that large announcement in February earlier this year. So when you think about the Rialto of today is a marketplace. But now being part of the library solutions, we can connect it to more data sources, databases. We can tap into the central discovery index, open access titles, and strengthen the integration and workflows that we have already with Leganto, Rapido, and pulling in tighter integrations with Community Zone as well. And this opportunity, it goes both ways. So Rialto has features and information that can also be fed to other areas of Ex Libris. We have our awards and reviews, everything that falls under curated topics. So if you have noticed that curated topics change, we now include notable lists and distinctions and honors powered by Syndetics. So those are new list categories. I think it took the existing list count from the hundreds to the thousands, pulling in those lists, that area. And this can be shared with other areas of Ex Libris as well. And our new edition statements. In fact, I've been working with Jesse Ransom, one of the product owner for Leganto. So not only do we have for what I'm going to call classic Rialto, we have a much tighter integration with Leganto coming out towards the end of this year. It'll be in test in December. So if you are interested, if you have Leganto and Rialto and you're interested in testing out the tighter integration, please let me know. Either send me an email or a message in the chat with your name. That's coming in December, and that's on the current Rialto roadmap. But Leganto is also pulling in our edition statements into the initial search for Rialto within the Leganto pages. So really our focal point from now going forward, our focus is really to streamline workflows across Ex Libris products to share the data points that we can and really hone in on tightening those integrations to make everything work better for you. So you may have seen this slide in various forms throughout the years. The words have changed, but the graphic remains the same, and we are Rialto based off of the Rialto bridge. But the overall message here really does still ring true. The Rialto as a marketplace today, the marketplace will remain as a solid foundation, a core feature area for the new vision of Rialto. But Rialto is evolving to pull in other perspectives, shifting from just purchasing to also informed fulfillment. And with existing tools like the recommendation engine, rankings, and far along down the future, and agentic AI collection assistant, you'll have advanced support for making strategic acquisition decisions. Our focus is really on expanding to embrace that whole more holistic view of library needs. So going beyond direct acquisition, and considering the entire collection and how it can support your institutional goals. Now, I've mentioned informed fulfillment, and you may be wondering, what is that? When I first heard the term informed fulfillment, I was thinking to myself, what is this, shipping information? Is it estimates? Is it tracking? No, I'll explain what that is here. So we have a screenshot of what you can expect. And excuse me, I have to move a little window over. But I have a screenshot here of what you can expect to see when informed fulfillment is released in the first quarter of next year. So we were initially thinking this is something we could do in Alma, in particular the CDI. However, Rialto, as it is now, does have existing functionality that we can tap into that makes the integration here, or the idea to launch it here, easier to achieve. So what you'll see, so if you're looking at the screenshot here, this is a sample of a search. So we've performed the search, we've looked at the work level offers, now we're looking at the listed offers that are part of the work. So you have all the main acquisition aspects that you would have here. You have the ability to add to cart, to add to DDA if that's available, you can do so. But you'll see you have some additional actions. So we're going to perform searches at runtime to first look for things, and this is the thing that will first come out in the earlier part of the year, to look for anything related to that offer that's retrieved in the marketplace that would be available, possibly as resource sharing. So we'll be hitting Rapido, my goodness, Rapido directly to see what's available within your pods. And this will be a very similar to the search that we do for holdings. If you're familiar with the holdings panel on the right-hand side of marketplace offers, where we first search by ISBN and then by title, author, and MMS ID. So we'll perform the same search to see if those things are available either as resource sharing or potentially as open access. So the open access piece would be coming a little bit later in the year, definitely resource sharing first. And the reason is times are changing. So budgets are changing. Everything, just about everyone is under some sort of budget constraint this year. And if not this year, then possibly next year. So your objectives may have shifted from purchasing something outright to how else could I obtain this to reduce the overall cost. So from moving from the acquisitional purchasing aspect more towards how else can, it's if you want to think of an informed search so that you can fulfill the need. So we're starting off with the Rapido. I'm sorry, checking my notes here to make sure I'm starting off with Rapido, and then we'll be hitting the CDI for what's available as open access. And you'll notice up at the top here for the actions, we have create requests. So these, when you see this match, you're not just going to see the match. All the matches will be actionable. So when you would click the Ex Libris University pod, that would open up a sliding panel where you could then initiate that borrowing request directly from the interface. Open access, that would again open up the larger sliding panel where you could activate that URL, perform those actions. We will be introducing, you see create request up here as well, the ability to utilize purchase requests, to create a purchase request directly within Rialto as well. And I am going to be jumping to a live demonstration of the new workflows that are going live for everybody. So this is not just existing Rialto customers. This is for any Rialto customer. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm not doing it live demo yet. I have a couple other things to talk about. My apologies. So I mentioned that the quote from Raphael when this first started off. So Raphael Gabe, if you've heard of Collecto, he was the product point person for Collecto. The was mentioned at Ilunas in the past and Igloos and the Igloo sessions in the past as well. So Collecto is no longer going out as an independent standalone, and it would have been for a cost product. Collecto and everything that was touted, talked about for this product are now part of Rialto. The difference is the cost and how the product was to have been implemented initially. So it is still free, just like Rialto is free, and this is available for all Alma users. And the reason we're doing this, Rialto and everything that you're doing when you're considering acquiring is it's all part of collection development. Collection development touches every area of the library, right? It's not just about what you want to acquire. It's also how you can consider what you're buying. So I'm talking to space optimization here. So maybe you're looking to replace electronic versions of books or print versions of books with electronic versions of books. Maybe when you're considering the informed fulfillment aspect, you're focusing on resource sharing as opposed to just buying the book outright directly. So the acquisitions is very tightly tethered to the retention and deselection workflows as well. When you're thinking about what you want to keep, what you want to retain, what you may want to buy additional copies of, they're all part and parcel of collection development. So I will be performing a live demo that are out there. Now there's a third workflow that's part of half of 2026. But if you're familiar with existing Rialto, the expansion workflow is kind of similar to a Rialto selection plan in that um, it looks at multiple elements. So the idea behind collection expansion is very similar to the overall impetus with Rialto as well. So we know that before you're looking to acquire a book, you're looking at multiple places where that book is available. So you're considering the price, you're considering awards, your holdings. You know, maybe you're interested in cross-institutional analytics as well. Maybe you want to you would like for your collection to reflect the collection of an aspirational university. So these are things that we thought about for Rialto in general, and now they're being thought about more broadly for this expansion workflow. So in this example here, you have a librarian, her name is Anne. She has a $10,000 endowment. She needs to decide what to buy. Before she makes that decision and outputs that list of things that she does want to acquire, she's looking at all these other places as well. So she's looking at her holdings. She's looking at highly acclaimed titles. She may be looking at Legato to see whether or not her courses are up to date, her course materials. And she may be looking at cross-institutional analytics if she can as well. So she'll be living in a world of multiple tabs and spreadsheets, ultimately ending up with a list of titles to acquire. And the goal here with the expansion workflow is to do just what we did in Rialto, to streamline all of that into a single place. So you can search for all these different elements there and really save time in performing that search with to output a similar list that you would have were you to spend all this time going to these outside resources. So the look and feel for the expansion workflow will more or less be like what I'm about to demonstrate now, the retention deselection workflow. Now the retention workflow, the goal here is to identify items that you want to retain, that you want to keep. So let me go over to that now. And so these workflows, both retention and deselection, are available now adopters of these programs. However, they're available for everyone to opt into as of the November release. So I think November release goes live this coming Sunday, no, November 2nd. So they'll be available. And again, this isn't just Rialto users. This is for anyone who has Alma. So let's show how this looks. So when you first open up Alma, you'll see if you've opted into this already, or if you have Rialto already, the collection development tab. This will appear. So if you don't have Rialto now, you won't see it until you opt into these workflows. But once you do, you'll see, and this is a account that only has these workflows. They don't have access to anything else as part of what I'll call classic Rialto. So when I log in and navigate to the retention workflow, you'll see here I have a list of projects. And the number of projects you can have is completely up to you. So you can have as many or as few as you'd like. And they can be as broad or narrow in scope as you would prefer as well. To save time, I'm going to use one that has been created already. But I do want to show how easy it is to initially create one. So when I select Add Project here, you give a project name. It's defaulted to retention. You can't change that because you're in the retention workflow. You can then elect to provide a description. Description is not required, so if you don't want to give one, you don't have to. And you'll notice this checkbox down here. Review only within libraries within my institution. So you do have the option to utilize cross-institutional analytics for this workflow. I'm going to go into Edit just so I can open up some additional fields here. And so see in this first area here, I have a summary. So in this example workflow, this is something that you may want to perform. So I have an instructor. His name is Paul Woodruff. He's in the philosophy department, and let's say he teaches Greek philosophy. So he's faculty. And I sure that I retain at least one copy of all of his books because this is something we do for faculty, and also maybe he checks. So I can initially define the scope here. So if I click into this box, you'll see that I can select individual libraries on my campus, or I can select all of the libraries that are on my campus. It's completely up to you. And we'll just leave this how this is set for now with all. And then I have a number here, and this is critical to what you'll be receiving in your results. The number of items per title in the institution does not exceed. So I want to make sure I have a minimum of one. So I really want to focus on the things that I only have one copy of. You can, so we do tie into Leganto here, so you can suggest things that are only on a reading list, or you can suggest only items for titles that do not have an item committed to retain within the institution or selected libraries. So this is also pretty important for this workflow because we look at retention for everything or what has been marked to retain. And this is the ALMA fields for retention. So nothing new, just leverages existing functionality in that regard. You can elect to include classification here if you'd like. And if you open up the classification, so I've selected LC, you can see the look and feel for the Library of Congress is exactly like what we have in existing Rialto. It pulls in the same data. You can also choose here publication year. So I'm leaving this blank purposefully. Our demo environments are kind of funny with what we have for holding. So I am intentionally leaving this area blank. And this is limiting to books, physical books only. So this will always limit to physical books. If I would like to broaden this, I can, this field here, the search ties into the physical items for Alma. So if I go in here, you'll see the exact same values that you would get if you perform an advanced search for physical items within Alma. Because I want to narrow this down to things that have been created by my faculty member, I'm just going to refine by the title creator and his name. Labels. So with the Alma November release comes this labeling functionality, and we are tapping into that here, so you can create labels for your items all throughout Alma itself. So there's a label here, consider retention, that we want to include within our search. You can remove this if you'd like to include or exclude those. This is also, I need to move a window here, a handy feature. So you can compare. So this is where the cross-institutional analytics comes in. So as you and others opt into this functionality, when you opt in, you're opting in to share your anonymized holdings with all the other users. So if you are a current Rialto user, we have a very similar functionality for our partner network holdings. This is essentially the same sharing that you're opting in for that. So you're sharing your anonymized holdings, nothing but the holdings, absolutely no other information, user information, just what you own. But by opting in, you're then part of this network, and you can elect to include or exclude things that are held by people that are part of the network. So you'll see here that when I click into the box, I get some of our early adopters in there. And as more adopt, you'll see them here as well. For now, I'm focusing on the holdings that are only in our test environment, but they are included here. You can also include network zone. So if you're part of a network zone, that'll tie in here, or pods. You can include things that are not held by the resource sharing pods. Let's see. Oh, and we have a little warning down here that not all of the 3,000 ALMA institutions are here. It's only the institutions that have opted in so far to be considered as part of the original group. And I'm sorry, and the toggle just above. We're looking here at things that have not been committed to retain. So if they have committed to retain by selecting this toggle, any of their holdings would not be included here, or would be included, but I want to focus on the things that they haven't committed to retain. So when you're done modifying or creating this initial query, you can save, and then if you're editing it, regenerate recommendations if you've made adjustments, or view recommendations in general. Now, because this has already been created, I need to move this window again. Let's do view recommendations. Now you can see here too on the left-hand side of this list. I know we already have something generated because this is showing how many recommendations it generated and how many are in my list. So let's do view recommendations. Checking the time here. So you'll see I have a list with 2 items on it, and we have a faceting over here like you see everywhere else in Rialto. Let me move this window again. There we go. So I'm going to collapse this so I can see my options here better. So you'll notice that I have some tags that have been created here. So we had consider deselection as a tag that we wanted to include for our initial search, and someone else has created a tag here for last copy faculty. Do you want to expand this other panel over here so you can show? So if this were a large list, right, and there may be chances when you're looking specifically by classifications. Oh, I have a special guest cat. I might move him down. There we go. Or other things where criteria where it may be a large list that's outputted. You have a retention summary here. So anything that has not been taken action on the list will show as active. If I have elected, so these items here are actionable. If I have elected to commit to retain over here, you would see retained, how many I've committed to retain. I can remove them from the list if I just don't want to consider them at all. That's an option. Withdrawn, I'll talk about that in a moment. Withdrawn is not an option here at all. Or handled. So if I just want it to show like, hey, yeah, I've looked at it, reviewed it. I'm not going to withdraw or retain it or remove it. I just want to mark it as I reviewed it. You can do that here as well. And you'll get the handled by either performing run a job or add to itemized set. So if I select run a job here, we'll say mark as handled, so you no longer appear in the recommendation list. That's the option. I can add to an itemized set. I can commit to retain, or I can remove from the list. And the reason we have all these different options here is we know there isn't one single workflow for every single institution that's out there. You may want to commit to retain outright. You may want to export this to talk to someone else and maybe mark it as handled for now because you're working offline elsewhere. So we know that there are multiple things that you may want to do, so we wanted to give multiple actions to perform. And when I look at the individual items here, you'll see that I have, yeah, the labels and then some handy tooltip callouts as well. So when I look at this first one, I have single item. So this, as part of my base query, I wanted to look at things where there were only one copy that was left. So this is indicating there is only a single copy left. This is available elsewhere. So that's good to know. And it's not retained by anyone else. Now I can validate this available elsewhere by scrolling down. And I do have some usage information here. I'll talk about usage as part of the deselection workflow, but we do have usage information here as well, which is very helpful when you're looking at what to retain as well. But down here I have compare to. So we used our test integration institution to compare against. And so here's their name coming up here. And no, they have not committed to retain this book. So I may want to consider retaining this book. Maybe I want to contact them directly, but maybe I want to commit the one in my institution to retain. So we understand there may be different use cases, why there's so many different options there. And this second one, you'll see, I think we only have, I'm sorry, the difference in messaging here is so it's a unique title. And by unique title, no one else has this. So this is a single item, but it's unique to my holdings. So when I scroll down here, you'll see I don't, when I look at compare to, it's not held by any of the institutions for reference. It's not marked to retain by my, so this one I probably definitely want to commit to retain since I'm the only person that owns it. So this is the retention workflow, and I'm going to move on to deselection and then ask for questions at the end. So deselection. So same with retention, the deselection workflow has, you can create as many projects as you like, again, as large or as small in scale. I am going to start with, why not this one here? So me go into edit mode. In this example, we're looking at specifically literature books that are shared with our integration library that we want to compare against. So we have the same set of information up here from when you initially create the project. The scope is very similar, however, a little different. So we have the ability to refine by entire institution or individual library here. So where I was looking for a quantity here, it's same here. So number of titles per institution exceeds. So I may want to look above and beyond the certain number here as I'm looking for a deselection, right? So kind of the inverse of the retention. I want to look at things that are not on a reading list, right? Whereas maybe we wanted to focus on things that are on a reading list for retention. And suggest items for titles that have at least one additional item committed to retain here as well. So again, the opposite. We also pull in physical condition. So you may want to perform a deselection for items that are damaged to remove them from your shelf. And if I click in here, we have brittle, damage. So these are pulling directly from Alma settings as well, nothing new. And so this is where we tie into usage. And I want to show you, checking the time here, a usage configuration that's part of this as well. So suggest when total usage per title is less than how count of usage over time, right? So you're including counts and time here. And this little tooltip that indicates there are different types of usage considered. So when I go into, and this is something that when you opt into this, your admins, your institutional admins will have access to modify this. So you'll see that when I'm in the modification area, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of the area here. I can configure the usage, the type of usage that's used to perform these calculations. So like the number of options that are available from the workflows themselves, we know that usage, you want to consider different types of usage for either individual reports or for specific use cases. So you can include here in-house, lending, loans, migrated. So you can set these to true or false to be included in the reporting here. So it's not one size fits all. So let me go back into edit so I can click into a few other things along the way. So we have the same classification. So in this case, we are going to look at specifically things that have the PN classification on them. And again, I could include publication here, but for the purpose of demoing and retrieving results, I'm not going to include publication. And this is hard-coded to the physical books. The same query for physical items in here as well, labels, and comparing against the partner institutions. So again, with this one, I want to look specifically with things that are held by my test integration partner as well. And when I click on view recommendations, I have a couple items available in my list. So the look and feel for this workflow is very similar to the retention workflow. So we have the same analytics over here in the right-hand corner for the actions that have taken place. And I have these handy labels that call out the various criteria that I'd use to create the overall query. So this is a single item, it's available elsewhere, and it also has low or no usage because I was using usage as one of the values to refine by. Now you'll see that this one has no usage over the past 5 years, and it's also held by another institution and committed to retain. So this is something that I may want to consider for deselection. And my next item here, similar. So it's a single item available elsewhere and low or no usage. And as I scroll down, same. So it has been committed to retain elsewhere. So this is something that I may want to consider for deselection. Now my actions here are very similar to the retention workflow as well. I can run a job, add to itemize set, create or remove the labels that are present on these items, commit to retain. So you can retain on the deselection workflow. So if I saw something here where, oh, okay, there's only one copy and maybe the usage was higher than I had anticipated, but it's not being retained, maybe I want to commit this one to retain while I'm here and not have to go create another project. I have remove from list, withdraw from repository, and change location. The reason I'm seeing all of these options here, and this is for the retention workflow as well. These options pull directly from my Alma user settings. So my particular user, for the purpose of the demonstration, has all of these options available. Not everyone will. So if your users don't have withdraw, which I can't imagine there's very many that do, because withdraw is kind of scary, gets rid of it completely. The only way it's accessible once you use withdrawal is from analytics. They won't see withdraw here. And when this is turned on for everybody, in particular, I'm thinking the Rialto accounts. So if you are a classic Rialto user, you have selectors where all they really have is the ability to select within Rialto, only those Rialto roles. When you opt into this and turn it on, they're not going to see any of these options. They'll be able to see the projects, they'll be able to see the list, but they won't have any of these actions because these aren't things that are typically assigned to Rialto selectors. But whatever Alma roles you have that have these privileges assigned, those actions then will pull through based on those roles and privileges that are set. And I think that wraps it up for the demo. Just checking my notes to make sure there wasn't anything I forgot. Yep, that is everything. And let me go back to the slides because I think we're just on time for some Q&A and maybe one or two more slides. Now I do want to skip ahead, so I can share these slides to the user group later on so that you can share what I performed as the demo. There's screenshots of the various pages if you're interested in sharing that. All of this will be out in documentation within 3 days, roundabout, so coming very soon. I do want to talk a little bit more about the expansion workflow. So the expansion workflow, again, this isn't happening until sometime late 2026. And for you existing Rialto users, I say classic Rialto users, this is something that we are going to, we're working diligently now to see how we can streamline this interface, this workflow with existing selection plans so that there is a streamlined experience for the customers um, that have opted into these workflows and are also existing Rialto customers. Because if you haven't seen our roadmap for Classic Rialto as it is, we have functionality coming out by mid next year to offer Rialto for all users. Now this isn't acquisition, so this isn't purchasing within Rialto, but it's the informed fulfillment and it's a basic search. And from this expansion workflow, you could send that list to Rialto to see what is actually available to acquire. But for the expansion workflow here, the look and feel is very similar to the retention and deselection. The end goal is different, so some of the inputs along the way are going to be different, right? So the goal here is to expand your collection. And in expansion, you have to consider funds as well, right? You need to consider what you have available to spend. Um, so when I move on here, we'll see I'm sorry, I meant to go back. Um, So you will see an option here, and this is a prototype, so this may not be exactly how it ends up in the future, but it will be very similar. So you have the option here to either consider constraints or by price, by fund, or not at all if you just want an output of a list of all the wonderful things that you could acquire. Oops, went back one. Um, there we go. Sorry about that. Um, Considering those tight integrations here too, we're considering pulling in RCL, resources for college libraries information. So whether or not they've been cataloged by someone in that group, that's something you could potentially refine by. I mentioned curated topics earlier. So if something is on a distinctions and honors list, if that's something you'd want to consider, for a qualitative aspect as opposed to a quantitative that the retention and deselection workflows focus more on. That's something you could do for expansion. And potentially for those other workflows too. So we will continue to enhance those other workflows after their initial release. And the output, the overall list, the look and feel will be similar to the output from the retention and deselection list. You'll have the list of titles, facetable by possibly price, format, number of different things that'd be available. Um, and then you'll have tie-ins to why these titles were selected. And from the output of that, we would take the books that are on the list and send that directly to Rialto to see what is available to acquire. If you have Classic Rialto, you can purchase it outright. So this is something you can maybe schedule, including those tying in that selection plan functionality, schedule to run at a certain frequency, where it adds to DDA or it purchases outright or adds to list. And if you are the Rialto for everyone, you could send it to Rialto just to see what's available to be purchased elsewhere. So that, I believe, nope, we got a timeline. So the early adoption for these workflows is out now. Early adoption began in June. We've been getting all sorts of wonderful feedback from the adopters of those workflows. Made adjustments along the way. So general availability for everyone as of the November release in just a couple days. We'll be working on any fixes, modifications, or rather we worked on fixes and modifications from the deselection workflow. Those are going out in November as well. In the first half of next year, we have the informed fulfillment assistant, and that first pass is the Rapido resource sharing, followed then by the what's available as open access. And then there are other things that we can pull in certainly there in the future, but targeting those two features initially. In February next year, the continued informed fulfillment with the expansion again at the end of next year. Now this timeline is very focused on what was formerly known as Collecto within Rialto. If you're interested in the classic Rialto, that roadmap is available online as well, and happy to answer any questions about that. In a moment, I keep forgetting I have more slides. You can opt into this. Your admins can. It's very easy to opt in to the this new functionality, if I go back to show you how you can do it if you're an admin and you are keen on doing so. So you'll go into configuration and then the general setting here. And I need to move my window. I forget the title. You will see data resource sharing profile as an option here to select. And when that is selected, collection analysis and development. So this is where you select to opt in. So it is very quick. Once you opt in, then holdings, those anonymized holdings are shared. And reminder here that it's nothing else, just the holdings, but it's really simple to opt into these workflows. And that does take me to the very end of the presentation. So happy to take any questions. I'm going to pause sharing and take a look at the chat. Oh no, my audio.
So far, we do not have any questions in the chat. Let me check the Q&A. So I do have a question in the question part is when it's checking the holdings for comparison. Does it only include holding data from other libraries that have opted in to share the data? Or will there be another way to pull in data from external sources like other commitment consortiums?
Yeah. So for now, it is looking specifically at either your Rapido pods, network zone holdings, or the people who have opted into this collection sharing workflow. But yeah, there are plans in the future to allow to expound on other sources to be considered for holdings, but at the moment of initial release, yeah, it's those three options. So if you're looking for a particular university as part of a resource sharing and you don't see them there, it's because they wouldn't have opted in directly for that. And we do have plans too. So I mentioned that we have the Rialto partner network holdings. So with the real merging of Rialto under Ex Libris, because despite the fact we were in Alma, we were very much a ProQuest centered product. With this merging here too, we're also working on how we can merge the partner network holding members in with this larger group as well. But so that's something that'll be coming in the future, and you'll have ample notification ahead of time. Any other questions? I didn't see a.
Don't think I see any other questions. Last chance for anybody in the last minute or so. And you can always email your questions to the eCAUG committee and we can pass those on if you come up with those later. Thank you very much for the presentation, Amy. This will be available after eCAUG.
Yep. And happy to share these slides to be distributed later as well.